Hi everyone, my name is Monica of Heartcraftpaper. I'm glad you could join me today. I'm going to be showing you different types of papers you can use in card making. We're going to be using this digital image from Stamper's Delight called Ring Mistress. All right, we're ready to get started here. To begin, I have my digital image that I have here, the Ring Mistress, and as you can see, I've colored her in. I decided on going with blacks and reds just because of that image that I have in my mind of what a ringmaster should look like. And this kind of brings to mind the Ringling Brothers for whatever reason. And I just felt that having reds and blacks brought that out. So I'm going to use those same reds and blacks in my card making. Now, one of my favorite details is this hat. And the fact that I was able to put in some lipstick and eyeshadow into this, so it really came out as a feminine ringmaster. Okay, we're gonna move on and we're gonna start fussy cutting our image out now that we have all of our coloring in, and I will put all the colors down in the description below, as well as all the images and anything that I've used in the video today. Now, today's tutorial is going to be focused more on the different types of papers that we're going to be using in order to make cards. Here's my first paper. This is a coil paper. It is a textured paper because it has kind of like a coiled mylar to it. And as you can see, it has a lot of shine. And again, this adds a lot of depth to any card or any project that you're going to make. Now this next paper is a gold Mylar, and as you can see, it has a ton of shine. This is a very thin and delicate paper, but it is very, very, very reflective. It has a silver backing as well as gold, so you can kind of use both sides. The main color theme that I'm utilizing here are going to be reds and blacks, just like my image. So I'm not looking to bring in a ton of different prints. I want it to really pop in the background without giving too much. The only print I have here is this red and white polka dot. But again, I'm trying to keep with the same color themes. The focus is going to really be on the ideas of different shapes, like these frames that I have here, are these banners, which I really love because of all the stitching they have here. As you can see, got a lot of detail. And I did use them to cut out these two banners. Now, the other thing is paper itself, focusing on the textures, shine, different things that you have going on. Not quite so busy in combining lots of different patterns or tons of different colors. Now, when having to keep with the same color scheme, you're trying to figure out how am I going to add some variation to this? And that's where the different papers come in. Here I have a scallop die that is from My Favorite Things, or at least they used to have them. And as you can see here, I've die cut a cardstock paper that is a non-shed glitter paper. And look at the amount of detail and shine that I can get off of this. And yes, it's black, just like the other one, but the difference comes in the texture itself. You can see that it really does stand out differently than it does this coil paper. And that is where also the color and the stitching itself variation for us as well. I'm going to begin by adhering down this coil paper to my card base. I did cut it to an A2 size, or a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I went a little bit wonky and a little bit off because I used a rotary tool to cut this since I didn't want the coils to be smashed. Now, as you can see, it does have a little bit that is popping over, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and trim that by hand. I'm going to use 1/8 inch double-sided tape, or you can use thicker if you'd like, depending on what you have in your stash. But I'm going to go ahead and use my 1/8 inch double-sided tape to adhere this down to the card front. I do like using my handy dandy little trick where I pull up the tabs here on each opposite corner. That helps me kind of settle my piece right on place without doing too much adhering first, because then it becomes a little bit difficult to fix. Now I'm just going to go ahead and trim this top portion with my scissors. With this beautiful texture in place, we're now ready to start adhering the other items to our card. I'm going to begin with the banner. As you can see, it's got a lot of shine, and this banner with this print is going to add a varying contrast to this. I absolutely love the simplicity of the card, just the variations in textures and shine. So for this, I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch double-sided tape. And the reason is because this is going to be a little bit more difficult to adhere down to those coils. I really want to make sure that I get enough real estate to have that just stick down and hold. Okay, as we're gluing this down or adhering it, we want to be careful and gentle just so we make sure that is nice and centered. Once it's on there, as you can see, it is stuck. Okay, so let's move on and work with the scallop. And again, we're bringing in some more texture to this. I want to make sure that this has a little bit of height off this card though. So we're going to use foam tape for this. Now that I have my foam tape at hand, because it took me a bit just to find it, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. Now, normally for this particular size of die cut, I would bring out my big boy, which is my 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch in order to adhere this down. But, you know, I make do with what I have in my stash at this point. For this particular die cut, I'm not necessarily going to actually center this on the banner. I want it slightly up and elevated because I'm going to bring in my image and adhere her down just a little bit further up. I wanted to create some space for the sentiment. So here you see that I'm adding foam tape onto my image to adhere it down onto that scallop circle. And I really, really love how this image just pops off that glitter paper there in the background. Okay, so as I work, I'm kind of finding placement for this banner, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna keep it right where it was in that corner. I just wanna bring a little bit of detail and bring the eye up. So this is gonna do that by adding in some shine in gold. I'm adhering this with 1/8 inch double-sided tape just onto that corner. I did not want to have it any taller than my image. I wanted it to set in the background. And that's why I did everything else first before adhering this down. Now we're almost done, but look at the shine that you really get off of this card. They're very simple colors. There's no real variation, but the textures, the variance in color and light, just very subtle, but gives it a lot of character. Now, I'm going to be using this sentiment, this happy birthday sentiment. Let me turn this around from Echo Park. This is the birthday girl theme, I think, but I'll link everything down in the comments below or in the description below for you. This is a sticker, so we're just going to go ahead and adhere this down at the bottom so that it's right under my image. I don't want to cover her up, so I didn't bring it towards the top. So there you have it. It's nice and simple, but we have one additional element that I really wasn't going to do, but I decided that I'd show you how to make anyways. And this is a cotton candy cone. Now I'm gonna bring in red and black. Again, I'm keeping with the same color theme. As you can see here, I've measured 2 inches from the bottom corner of my craft paper both to the horizontal and the vertical line, and just join them together. I'm going to cut across and make a nice little cone out of this. So all you have to do is just prepare the paper by rolling it with your fingers. This will allow the paper to roll into that cone shape a lot easier. Now, mind you, this does take a little bit of practice, so once you get used to doing this, you're gonna work out just fine. Adhere this with a little bit of glue and then use something flat like your scissors in order to just burnish that down and make sure that it sticks. Time to bring out the glue gun. Yes, we're going to be using the hot glue gun for this, and you'll see why. Now, these two little peaks that you see here are intentional. I did not cut them off because they're going to offer some support to the cotton candy piece. Okay, so here I have my sequins that I'm going to be using, and these are red, black, and silver. I also have the bottom half of a skewer stick. This is 1 3/4 inch long. You can use a toothpick as well if you'd like, as well as some black tulle that I'm going to be using. Okay, now to begin, we're going to add a dab of glue to adhere down the tulle right onto that skewer stick. Now, you don't want to add too much. You want to wait for it to cool a little bit so you can go ahead and just kind of stick that on. You don't want to burn your fingers much. And how this is going to work is we're going to wrap this around the stick in a twisting motion. So I'm going to twist and roll and kind of create a little bit of bulk as we go along in order to give the illusion of this being a cotton candy and being much thicker than what it is, because as we go, it will start to flatten out. And as you can see, I'm twisting, and creating more bulk to this. This will be done in layers. Now, this is the first layer, and I feel kind of satisfied with how this is. I'm going to thin out the tulle so that it is only doubled up to kind of create a coverage and make some bulk to this, a little bit more of a bubbly feel. And we'll repeat the process of twisting and creating more bulk in this second pass. This does take a little bit of patience and getting used to, so it's a matter of really taking your time with it. Don't go too fast with this, and unless you're really kind of used to doing these, and you'll just fly through making them. As you can see, again, I'm making a little bit more bulk by twisting and overlapping those twists so that we get a bigger fluff out of this. Now, this is my second pass, and I'm going to double up on the tulle rather than having it quadruple up or bulk up as a twist, and just kind of overlay that. And I think this should be enough. Now I'm going to kind of create it so that it has more of a kind of a cylinder or conical shape, and that should be enough. I'm going to go ahead and trim right here, and then using my hot glue gun, I'm going to set just a small amount because this doesn't require that much in order to adhere it down. And then again, you don't want to burn your fingers as the tulle is very thin. So just be careful, be mindful. You can use a pair of tweezers, and if you're used to it and kind of know how to work it, your fingers if you'd like. But again, that's up to the person and the individual themselves. Now, clean this up a little bit, which as you can see, I'm kind of doing because it's going to be a mess. I'm going to add a dab of glue in order to adhere my little cotton candy piece into my cone. And that backing is going to add a little bit of support to my cotton candy. I have to apologize. I have a little bit of a mess here with the glue, and because it's black, it really does show itself quite a lot. So just kind of clean up your work. All right. Now with the sequins, I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue gun to do this. I like using my tweezers in order to do this, and I think I've got several sequins here that are just kind of attached. I'm gonna have to clean this up. So forgive my boo-boo here. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and use the glue to adhere it. Just be, light with it. Don't overdo the glue so that way you don't make too much of a mess. Reds and silvers here and there. While I think this is beautiful in black, I think that as a pink cotton candy, this would actually look beautiful. But then again, I'm partial to pink. So here we are. I just need to find the right placement for this cotton candy. I wasn't too sure initially where I actually wanted it, but I think having it here by the sentiment is actually a really good location for it. So let's add a little bit of glue right down the back of my cotton candy. And as you can see, having that support really does help, and it also created more of a flat back. So be generous with the glue so it does not budge off your card. And here I've completed my card. Absolutely beautiful. A little bit of texture from the cotton candy, the tulle, the sequins, shine, all the way across to this card. Very basic colors, not a lot of colors, but they really stand out using different paper types. For more videos and tutorials like these, don't forget to subscribe. Visit the blog for more information at www.heartcraftpaper.com. Thanks for watching Heartcraft Paper.